So I recently finished a home flip, a house flip, and I documented some of the journey on this YouTube channel. And now that I have closed the deal and everything is finished with that property and I'm looking for my next property, and hopefully soon I can tell you all about a potential new deal that I've been talking to my contractor and realtor about. But in today's video, I want to show you all and tell you all step by step how to flip houses as a beginner and what I learned doing my very first house flip. And so make sure you all take notes and just understand the different steps that are needed in this journey as you're starting flipping homes. So I'm just going to talk about the process I took to flip a home from start to finish, and you all can learn from that. And so if you all have any questions, comment them down below. Be sure to subscribe and like this video. All right, so the very first step in flipping homes is to find a deal. And the reason why this is the very first step is because you need a property to flip, obviously. And I said you have to find a deal. You can't just find any house because not every house needs renovation. Not every house that even needs renovation is a flip potential, because maybe the seller just wants a high price and it's more geared towards a rental property or short-term rental property. So how do you find deals? So one path to find deals is by working with wholesalers. On this channel, I talk extensively about wholesaling real estate. That's how I got started in real estate. And with wholesaling real estate, they find distressed properties and they sell these properties over to flippers, to real estate investors. And so there are different ones around your area. Join Facebook groups and see the different deals that they post. And what they do is they put a property under contract and then they sell you the rights to that contract and you pay them an assignment fee for that deal. And so you have to just network with wholesalers. Another way is through realtors. I'm currently working on a deal with a realtor that my contractor works with. And so realtors are a great resource to finding deals. And a lot of times they can find deals on properties that are not listed yet, on like these pocket listings. And so that's what I'm working on right now. And so hopefully I'm able to get this property under contract. Another way to find deals is just your network, right? Talking to family and friends about what you do, and even through your work. So with my deal is that I found my first flip through my job. One of our clients, I work in finance, she had a second home that she wanted to sell. And I stepped in, I said, I do real estate, and I put the property on a contract and I got the property renovated and flipped and I sold it. So just by telling people what I do and just, seeing opportunities. Okay, this person has a second home. Are they interested in selling? Is it vacant? Ask these different questions and just tell everyone that you work in real estate. And if they have another property or a landlord or just this property that they just want to get rid of, they can think of you and say, oh, okay, this person does real estate. I'll reach out to them. All right, so with finding a deal, I know there's a lot of things under finding a deal, and you'll find this in your step-by-step guide, in this step-by-step guide. So please be sure to take notes. So another thing under finding a deal is you have to make sure it's a deal. So you have to run comparables. What are comparables? Comparables are, let's say a real estate agent sends you a property. Okay, you have to look at the address and you have to do research on similar properties to that address. So similar bedrooms, similar bathrooms, similar square footage, and even year built sometimes, and see what's sold in that area. And you can look at pictures of the property and see if it looks like it was recently renovated. And then from there, you can be like, okay, this house is sold for $300,000. Okay, this realtor is sending me this deal for $175,000, similar square footage and everything. I think I need to spend maybe $50,000 to $60,000 in. So I'll probably be all in $230, $240, $250 with all the other costs associated. So this is a deal for me. And so you have to run comparables. You have to learn how to run comparables. I do have different videos on this channel of how to run comps specifically for wholesaling, but I believe it applies to all areas of real estate. The other thing with running comps is like running the rehab. Obviously, you can kind of tell how extensive work you need to do on a property. So if there's foundation issues, if you're walking in there and the floors feel wobbly, if the property needs a new roof, if it needs a new AC unit, if the kitchen, the bathrooms needs to be gutted out, that's an extensive rehab, and you'll be probably paying north of $75,000, $80,000 for something like that. But if it's cosmetic, paint, flooring, maybe some windows, but the AC is there, the electric is good, the plumbing is good, the roof is decent, then you price it accordingly. And so you have to consider that when you're looking at your deal. So the first step is to find a deal, and once you have a deal, put it under contract. Now, the second step to flipping homes as a beginner is to get financing. So you have to finance this deal. You have to pay for it. And a lot of beginners don't have the money, right? I didn't necessarily have the money to pay all cash for the property, and on top of that, pay for the rehab for the property. So what I did was I used a hard money loan. And a hard money loan is a type of product that lends to investors to flip homes. And so it's not like Bank of America or Chase or these different mortgage lenders where it's more traditional and conventional because they have this long process. But with hard money, they understand what you're doing, right? And so they work fast, they act fast, and they lend accordingly. With these type of loan products, their interest rates are higher than your traditional. So you're talking about 12.5% for these type of deals. And a lot of them are interest only payments. And on top of that, you have to put at least a 10% down payment on the purchase and the rehab. And then also you have to be able to pay upfront points. So points is just like their upfront fee. So for example, the lender I used, they had a 2.5% fee. So I had to pay 2.5% of the rehab plus the purchase upfront. And so you have all these fees associated. That's why looking at the first step, you have to make sure the deal makes sense because you're going to have lending fees on top of it. So it's just not purchase, rehab, and that's it. No, you have title fees, you have lending fees, you have commission fees, you have utilities you have to pay for, you have your insurance. And so all of these things add up. And so that's something to consider when you're finding financing. You can look at private money lenders. So let's say you have a family member who you know is a little bit wealthy. You can come to them, let them know what you're doing. Hopefully they can support you. And you can also just go the conventional route. There are some loan products that banks offer for you to flip homes, but you just have to do more research on that. But getting financing is key. Now going to the third step of flipping a home as a beginner, and these go hand in hand because you have to be doing these two things together. You have to find good contractors. For me, like I put the property under contract, and then the next thing that I did, I called up a hard money lender. I started the process, and at that same time, I was bringing contractors in to give me bids. So when you're flipping your first home, get at least 3 bids. And even if you're flipping your second, third, fourth, 20th, 100th house, you probably have to get multiple bids on it. And so getting at least 3, you kind of understand, okay, this is how much everything's going to cost. You get to know the contractor. You kind of see like the type of organization, like how they're organized. Because I had one contractor, I would have to like stay on top of him, be like, yo, you say you're going to send me this. And when they send it, it was just like this wanky document. Not saying they would have done a good job, but it's just like the organization, the communication wasn't there. But the one I went with, everything was in order. You know, if they said they're going to reach out, then they actually did that, and they were super professional. And so you get bids from them, and you kind of understand your costs, because that's very important before closing the deal. Because if you're using a hard money lender, they're going to need to know the exact amount you're going to spend on your rehab. And so once your contractor gives you a bid, like an estimate, you send that over to your hard money lender before closing on the property. So how do you find good contractors? One good way to find contractors are, once again, going back to realtors, just asking them, okay, you worked with investors before, who are some good contractors they use? You know, get some referrals. Another thing that I did to actually find my contractor is I looked on Zillow. I looked at recently sold properties that were recently renovated, and you can kind of tell from the pictures when they're recently renovated or they're staged or whatnot. On the listing, it has the agent's name. And so I contacted the agent and said, hey, I like what the contractor did on this property address. And I put the address and I send them a link to the Zillow. It's like, who is the contractor who worked on this deal? And they send it to me. And I also say, like, do you know any other good contractors for investors? And they send me that information. And that's how I found this particular contractor. Other ways, just looking at real estate groups, see who's posting. Other ways that I found it is just like, I noticed an investor posted one of their flips and they tagged their contractor, and we're like, okay, interesting. And so I added that contractor to my list of contractors that I can reach out to. So there are different creative ways that you can find them. When you're working with contractors, just make sure the terms are favorable for both sides. Like, honestly, don't put like a big down payment. You know, I wouldn't put more than 20% down on a rehab, and I wouldn't even put that much, honestly, because let's say it's a $100,000 rehab, you're going to give them $20,000 up front. You know, you hear these horror stories of contractors walking away with with that amount of money. So you just have to make sure everything's in place. All right, the fourth step to your rehab process is your agent. And hopefully already, I've been talking about agents and how much of a good resource they are. And so hopefully by then you already have an agent. But what my agent did was she helped me like walk the property, kind of gave me insights on what to actually invest in on the property. Like, okay, that's not a big deal. You don't have to do this on the property, right? And we actually made some changes based off of her recommendations because she understands the clientele in that area and she understands what the buyers are looking for this type of property. And they can help you with design, with the different paint colors, the different textures and things of that nature. So using an agent is key because eventually you want to sell this home and they help with contracts and everything like that. And just discuss commission. I'm more than happy to paying a full 6%, but I understand that may not be the case for everyone, or even me in certain cases. Let's say margins are low on law, like, hey, I could pay you 4.5%, I could pay you 5% for this deal, and see what they say. Agents also help with comps, like, okay, this is what we should price this home at in order to sell it quickly and to a good buyer. And just along the process, they can walk the property with you. Like when the contractor is on the second phase, third phase of the whole rehab, and you just check in along the way of this rehab process. Now, this is a more condensed step-by-step guide on flipping a home. Each of these steps can be a full tutorial, right? Because I can get into like, okay, working with a hard money lender, you have to send them proof. You have to, do draws, and like along the way, like I was checking on my property maybe once a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks, but that's when a phase was done. Like, okay, they put in cabinets. I can take a picture of this and ask for a draw from my lender. So those are other things that you need to consider when you're flipping a home. All right, so the last step is to list and sell and work with your title company. And essentially, this is the home run. And with my property, I worked with my agent. I said, hey, I want these type of photos. I was like, I don't want no photos where it looks like they took these photos with an iPhone, right? Let's have these wide angle, photos that you see the nice listings have. I want it to be staged, and let's price it accordingly. And we priced it accordingly, and I think it was priced a little low so we can have that activity, and we got a full cash offer over asking the very first day. And so we closed within 2 weeks of listing the property because the buyer had the cash and they were ready to close as soon as possible. So that's what we did. That's what happened. And then things came up in inspections. I got that situated and we sold the property. It ended out working out really well. And yeah, those are the steps of flipping a home as a beginner. If you all have any questions, if you really want me to concentrate on one part of this process, I can make a full video on it. Just let me know down below. Make sure you all like this video, subscribe, and I'll talk to you all later.